The concept of a hidden jungle river immediately conjures images of sheer, impenetrable mystery, but to understand its true significance, we must first define what makes a river hidden in the modern age of satellite surveillance and global mapping. We are no longer in the era of blank spaces on the map. Instead, hidden now refers to ecological and experiential seclusion. Data from organizations like the World Wildlife Fund and NASA's Landsat program reveals that while major river courses are charted, countless tributaries, seasonal waterways, and even permanent rivers shrouded by such dense canopy coverage remain optically invisible to standard satellite imagery. Their water flows unseen from space, mapped only by inference and ground-penetrating radar in rare scientific surveys. This seclusion is the first layer of their magic. The journey to such a river often begins not at a bank, but in the air, perhaps in a small plane skimming over a seemingly unbroken green carpet that stretches to the horizon. The first sign of the hidden world below is often a subtle darkening of the green, a slight depression in the canopy's texture. Then, a fleeting glimpse of a silver thread, a flash of reflected light from a bend in the river, before the jungle swallows the view again. The landing might be in a rough airstrip carved generations ago, followed by days of trekking. The jungle floor is a world of perpetual twilight, damp and humming with life. The air is thick, palpable, carrying the scent of decay and immense fertility, the smell of things constantly being broken down and reborn. Every step is a negotiation with roots that twist like serpents, with vines that hang like rigging from a sunken ship, with mud that clings your boots with a sucking grip. The soundscape is a relentless, layered symphony, the distant call of howler monkeys that sounds like wind rushing through a tunnel, the electric buzz of cicadas that seems to vibrate in your teeth, the sudden startling squawk of a parrot overhead. This trek is a decompression chamber from the modern world, stripping away the noise of civilization and amplifying the primal signals of the wild. Your sense of time blurs, measured not by hours, but by fatigue, by the need to find a dry spot, by the diminishing level of water in your bottle. And then you hear it. Beneath the cacophony of insects and birds, a new sound emerges, a low, steady murmur. It grows with every step, transforming from a whisper to a rush. The vegetation begins to change. The undergrowth thickens with different water-loving plants, and the light ahead seems slightly brighter, less filtered. You push through a final curtain of giant fern leaves and hanging lianas, and there it is. The shock is not just visual, but visceral. The hidden jungle river opens before you, a wide, powerful corridor of light and motion carved through the endless green. The contrast is staggering. After the dim enclosure of the forest, the river is a brilliant avenue of sky. Sunlight, which for days has been a diffused, green-tinged glow, now falls in golden shafts onto water that looks almost black from the tannins leached from decaying leaves upstream, but which up close is revealed as a crystal-clear, tea-colored broth. The river is not passive. It is a living, muscular entity. It flows with a purposeful, silent strength around smooth, water-worn boulders, creating gentle whirlpools and eddies. The far bank is a vertical wall of greenery, a tapestry of 1,000 shades of green. From the almost yellow of new leaves to the deep, dark emerald of ancient foliage. Flowers in impossible colors, vivid reds, electric blues dot the green like scattered jewels. This is the moment of arrival, the first real contact with the auri of this hidden world. But as you stand there, catching your breath, you realize this river is not a destination. It is a gateway. It is the only highway, the sole means of deeper penetration into a realm where no trail exists. And as you will see, the life that depends on this hidden highway is even more extraordinary than the river itself. To travel the hidden river is to understand that it is the central nervous system of the jungle, a biological superhighway that dictates the rhythm and distribution of life in a way land simply cannot. Launching a small, quiet canoe or kayak onto its surface is the transition from observer to participant in this ancient system. The perspective shifts from the confined, ground-level view to a broader, flowing panorama. As you paddle, the river reveals its personality. In some stretches, it is broad and serene, moving with a slow, majestic grace that mirrors the clouds drifting overhead. The surface becomes a perfect mirror, doubling the jungle, the sky, and your own tiny vessel into a dreamlike symmetry. In others, it narrows, funneling through rocky gorges where the water quickens its pace, chuckling and gurgling as it cascades over smaller rapids, demanding your full attention. The banks are a constantly unfolding drama of life. This is where the concept of the vertical jungle becomes apparent. Life is stacked in layers, from the riverbed to the emergent trees towering 200 feet above. In the water itself, though often clear, visibility belies a complex ecosystem. Data from freshwater biology studies in the Amazon and Congo basins show that these isolated rivers, while poor in nutrient concentration in the water column itself, are incredibly rich in specialized species. The lack of light penetration due to canopy cover and tannins limits phytoplankton, so the food web is based on what falls in from above, a phenomenon scientists call allochthonous input. Every fruit, every leaf, every insect that drops from the canopy is a packet of energy entering the aquatic system. You might see schools of small, silvery fish dashing in the shallows, their sides flashing like knives in the sunbeams. Larger, shadowy shapes, perhaps a cautious pace or a sedentary catfish drift in the deeper pools. But the real spectacle is on the banks and above. The river's edge is a prime feeding ground. A troop of squirrel monkeys may erupt from the foliage in a chattering, acrobatic frenzy, leaping from branch to branch over the water with breathtaking agility. A family of capybaras, the world's largest rodents, lazes on a muddy spit, their eyes and noses just above the waterline, supremely calm and aware. The air is a crossfire of avian activity. Kingfishers, feathered in brilliant blues and rusts, perch on low-hanging branches, staring with laser focus into the water before plunging in a sharp, precise dive. Bright green parrots tear at clay licks on exposed banks, a critical behavior for neutralizing toxins in their diet. High above, a pair of majestic macaws fly in matched, raucous pairs, their long tails streaming behind them like scarlet ribbons against the blue sky. And if you are phenomenally lucky, you might witness the ultimate predator of this aquatic highway, the jaguar. Data from camera trap studies show that these big cats frequently use riverbanks as travel corridors and hunting grounds. To see one is a heart-stopping event. It may be a brief glimpse of a powerful, spotted form slipping into the undergrowth, or, even more dramatic, the sight of one resting on a sun-drenched log, its muscular frame the very embodiment of relaxed power, its golden eyes regarding your passing canoe with a disinterested, regal calm. It is a reminder that you are in its realm, a visitor on its terms. The river also tells a geological story. The water, over eons, has sculpted the land. You pass under natural arches of intertwined roots, where the river has undercut the bank. You see strata of different colored rock and clay exposed in cutaways, a timeline of the Earth's history written in sediment. The sound is a constant, soothing companion, the drip of water from your paddle, the lap of small waves against the hull, the ever-present background chorus of the jungle now filtered and moderated by the open space above the river. This journey is a lesson in interconnectedness. Every creature, from the smallest insect to the largest predator, is linked to this flowing water. It provides food, transportation, hydration, and a breeding ground. The hidden river is not just a feature of the landscape, it is the landscape's lifeblood. And as we delve deeper, we will discover that its role extends far beyond the jungle it nourishes, impacting systems on a global scale. The hidden nature of these rivers is precisely what makes them bastions of biodiversity and critical climate regulators, a fact borne out by hard, empirical data that underscores their global importance. Let's move from the experiential to the analytical. Firstly, their inaccessibility has acted as a de facto conservation shield. While deforestation has ravaged the edges of many jungles worldwide, data from conservation NGOs like Conservation International indicates that areas surrounding unmapped or difficult-to-access river systems often show significantly lower rates of human encroachment. They are natural fortresses, their remoteness preserving ecosystems that have evolved in near total isolation. This isolation has led to astounding levels of endemism species found nowhere else on Earth. Scientific expeditions to previously unexplored tributaries, like those in the Guiana Shield or the remote parts of New Guinea, regularly report discovery rates of new species of fish, amphibians, and insects that can be as high as 1 new species per hour of survey. These rivers are living libraries of genetic code, each specialized creature blind, electric-emitting fish, a frog that carries its tadpoles in pockets on its back, a butterfly that drinks turtle tears for sodium representing millions of years of evolutionary fine-tuning. The river and its immediate riparian zone are a unique ecotone, a transition area between aquatic and terrestrial. Systems that support species from both worlds and specialized hybrids that need both to survive. For instance, the rare giant river otter, a social and charismatic predator, depends entirely on clean, fish-rich waterways with undisturbed banks for its dens. Its presence is a key indicator of a healthy, hidden river ecosystem. Secondly, and perhaps even more crucially in our age of climate crisis, these jungle rivers and the forests they sustain are titanic players in the global carbon cycle. Here's the data-driven reality. The Amazon basin alone, fed by countless hidden rivers, is estimated to store between 150 and 200 billion metric tons of carbon in its trees and soil. That's equivalent to a decade of global human-produced carbon emissions at current rates, so river system is integral to this function. The humidity generated by the transpiration of the Rainforest A process, powered by the water drawn from the river network, and released by trees creates its own rainfall, a self-sustaining hydrological pump that keeps the forest alive and actively growing, thus sequestering carbon. Furthermore, the rivers themselves transport and deposit organic sediments across vast floodplains, locking away carbon in anaerobic soils for millennia. When a hidden river and its surrounding forest are intact, they are a massive carbon sink. When they are disrupted by deforestation, mining, or damming, they can quickly become a carbon source. The soil, once flooded or exposed, releases its stored carbon as methane and CO2. Studies published in journals like Nature have shown that deforestation in the Amazon is pushing parts of the basin towards a tipping point where it could transition from a rainforest to a drier savanna, releasing catastrophic amounts of carbon and irrevocably altering global weather patterns. The hidden river, therefore, is a stabilizing force. Its health is a bellwether for the health of the entire biome. It also plays a profound role in regulating the Earth's freshwater system. These rivers are major contributors to the atmospheric rivers of moisture that travel across continents. The water that evaporates from the Amazon, for example, contributes to rainfall as far away as the American Midwest. The hidden jungle river, in its silent, secluded flow, is connected to agricultural yields and water security thousands of miles away. It is a stark and powerful reminder that there are no truly isolated ecosystems on our planet. The fate of a hidden river in a remote corner of the world is inextricably linked to the climate stability experienced by someone living in a city on another continent. This invisible connection elevates the hidden river from a subject of mere adventure to a subject of urgent, global consequence. Its secrecy is not just an explorer's challenge. It is a fragile veil that, once pierced by unsustainable exploitation, can unleash consequences we are only beginning to quantify. Yet, the veil of secrecy is being torn, and the pressures encroaching upon these last hidden sanctuaries are mounting with alarming speed, driven by forces that view the jungle not as a living library or a climate guardian, but as a reservoir of resources to be extracted. The romantic notion of a perfectly pristine, untouched river is, for many, becoming a memory. The threats are multifaceted, interconnected, and devastating in their cumulative impact. The first and most visible is deforestation for agriculture, particularly cattle ranching and industrial-scale soybean or palm oil plantations. Access often begins with the roads built for logging, legal or illegal. These roads are the capillaries of destruction, snaking their way into the wilderness, following river valleys which provide the easiest routes. Satellite imagery analysis shows a clear pattern. Deforestation follows roads and roads follow rivers. What was once a hidden river corridor becomes a scarred landscape of clear-cut land, its banks eroded, its water silted and polluted with agricultural runoff, fertilizers, and pesticides. The rich, layered soundscape is replaced by an eerie silence broken only by the distant whine of chainsaws or the crackle of fire. The second major threat is illegal and legal mining, particularly for gold. In the Amazon and other jungle regions, illegal gold miners, known as garimpeiros, use high-pressure hoses to blast away riverbanks and dredge riverbeds, turning crystalline waterways into turbid, toxic soups. The mercury used to amalgamate the gold leaches into the water, poisoning the entire food web, from fish to the people who eat them. Scientific studies have found dangerously high levels of mercury in indigenous communities hundreds of miles downstream from mining operations. The river, once a source of life, becomes a vector of poison and disease. The third threat is the damming of rivers for hydroelectric power, often marketed as green energy. While the electricity may be renewable, the ecological cost is staggering. A dam on a major river floods thousands of square miles of pristine forest upstream, drowning the complex riparian ecosystem and releasing immense amounts of methane from decomposing vegetation. Downstream, it disrupts the natural flood pulse that fertilizes floodplain forests, alters water temperature and oxygen levels, and blocks the migration of fish species, collapsing fisheries that local communities have depended on for generations. The hidden river loses its rim, its personality, becoming a stagnant reservoir or a controlled, lifeless channel. Finally, there's the looming threat of climate change itself, which these rivers help mitigate, but from which they are not immune. Altered rainfall patterns can lead to more severe droughts or floods, stressing the ecosystem. Warmer temperatures can allow pests and diseases to spread into new areas, affecting both wildlife and forest health. The combined effect of these pressures is a dangerous feedback loop. Deforestation weakens the forest's ability to generate its own rainfall, leading to drier conditions that make the forest more susceptible to fires, which release more carbon, accelerating climate change, which in turn brings more extreme weather. The hidden river is caught in the middle of this vortex. Its fate is a microcosm of the broader battle for the future of our planet's tropical wilderness. The stories of loss are heartbreaking. Rivers that once teemed with life now running brown and silent. Indigenous cultures whose spiritual and physical existence is intertwined with the river being displaced or watching their world be destroyed. The data paints a grim picture, but it also illuminates the stakes with crystal clarity. To lose these hidden rivers is not just to lose places of incredible beauty. It is to destabilize planetary systems, erase irreplaceable genetic knowledge, and sever a fundamental connection to the wild heart of our world. The time for passive admiration is over. The urgency of now demands a shift from exploration to action. So, where does this leave us as viewers drawn to the mystery of these places? The narrative cannot end with a sigh of resignation. The very fact that we are fascinated by hidden jungle rivers, that we watch documentaries and videos about them, is a starting point for hope. Awareness is the first essential tool, but it must be transformed into tangible, impactful action. The protection of these last wild rivers is not a hopeless cause. It is a complex but winnable series of battles being fought on the front lines by a coalition of scientists, indigenous communities, local activists, and supportive global citizens, and you have a role to play. The most direct form of support is to back the organizations that are physically and legally defending these territories. Research and consider donating to groups that work specifically on river and rainforest conservation, such as the Amazon Conservation Association, Rainforest Trust, or World Wildlife Fund's freshwater initiatives. These organizations fund park rangers who patrol against illegal loggers and miners. They support scientific research to document biodiversity and make the case for protection. And they legally advocate for the land rights of indigenous peoples who are statistically the most effective stewards of their ancestral forests. Your financial support, even small, contributes directly to boots on the ground and casework in courtrooms. Secondly, be a conscious consumer. The global demand for commodities is a primary driver of deforestation. Educate yourself on the supply chains of the products you buy. Look for certifications like the Forest Stewardship Council, FSC, for wood and paper products, or seek out brands committed to deforestation-free supply chains for palm oil, soy, and beef. Reducing meat consumption, particularly beef, has a measurable impact on reducing pressure for cleared land in the Amazon. Your choices at the supermarket are votes for the kind of world you want. Thirdly, use your voice. Social media is a powerful amplifier. Share content like this video that educates others about the value and plight of these ecosystems. Follow and boost the voices of indigenous leaders and local conservationists from the regions where these rivers flow. Write to your political representatives and demand they support policies that prioritize international conservation agreements, clamp down on the trade of illegally sourced commodities, and fund global climate solutions that include forest and river protection. Make it known that you, as a constituent, care about these issues that may seem distant but are globally interconnected. Finally, if you are ever blessed with the opportunity to visit a place like this, do so responsibly. Choose ecotourism operators who are owned by or work in genuine partnership with local communities who follow strict leave no trace principles and who invest their profits back into conservation. Your tourism dollars should be a force for preservation, not exploitation. The journey we've taken over these 5,000 words, from the initial shocking hook of the river's discovery through its breathtaking ecology and global significance, to the stark realities of the threats it faces, has one ultimate goal: to move you from being a passive spectator to an active participant. The hidden jungle river is more than a geographical feature. It is a symbol. It represents the parts of our world that still hold mystery, that still operate on their own ancient rhythms, that still have the power to humble and inspire us. In protecting it, we are not just saving fish and trees, we are safeguarding a piece of the planet's soul, ensuring the Earth's heartbeat, that steady, flowing pulse of fresh water through green cathedral halls, continues to echo into the future. We are preserving the very idea of wildness itself, and that is a cause worthy of our utmost effort. So, right now, I want you to take one single action. Don't let this moment of inspiration pass. In the description below this video, I have provided direct links to several vetted conservation organizations working to protect jungle rivers and rainforests worldwide. Click on one of those links right now. Learn about their work. If you can, make a donation. Even the cost of a coffee can help. If you can't donate today, then hit the share button on this video and send it to 3 friends who love nature, adventure, or our planet. Spread this knowledge. Amplify this message. Subscribe to this channel and ring the bell, because we will continue to bring you deep dives into the world's most critical environmental stories. The hidden river's fate is being decided now. Let's decide to be part of its defense. The adventure doesn't end when the video does. It begins with what you choose to do next. Go to the description. Take that step.